Everyone, today I want to just cover a unique situation I encountered with the Corolla. I went to go drive the car the other day. I started it up, and it started running really rough. Shortly thereafter, the check engine light came on. Now, brought the car in the garage, checked it out, I hooked it up to my code scanner, and it gave me a code for a cylinder number 2 misfire. Now, the code it gave was code 302, very common for a misfire. I started looking at what the problem was, and I figured out quickly it was likely an electrical related issue. Something with the ignition system was not functioning correctly for cylinder number 2. Now, the other cylinders were running, so I was able to rule out some obvious things like batteries being dead, the alternator not working, fuel pump. I could smell fuel out of the tailpipe, so I knew that the cylinder was getting fuel, but it wasn't firing. So I'm like, all right, most likely culprit, because I've encountered this before in other vehicles, is going to be a coil pack. Now, these things do go bad after a while. They're kind of almost a maintenance item. These go on top of the spark plug, and the electrical connector goes in here. You can see these from the top, and these basically amplify the electricity going into the spark plug so it can fire and ignite the fuel inside the cylinder. So I changed that out, and it gets better, but it doesn't solve the issue. So I decided, you know what, let me double check the spark plugs, even though I changed them at 100,000 miles, and the car has 116,000 miles on it now. So I bought genuine Toyota spark plugs from the dealer, because if you're not big in the automotive world, you may not realize that counterfeit automotive parts are becoming a huge issue. Especially for things like spark plugs. There's a lot of sellers on places like Amazon and eBay that are selling fake parts like spark plugs. That is why I went to the dealer. And these fakes are very, very hard to spot. Now, retailers like Amazon and eBay are trying to counter it and deal with it, but it's very difficult. And the fakes are so good that even legitimate manufacturers have a hard time telling the difference. So I went to my local Toyota dealer and bought these plugs back in February. So I'm like, well, spark plugs could possibly be it. Let me just throw a spark plug. Maybe I got a bad spark plug. You know, it happens. Maybe that's the issue. So I throw a spark plug in it. It's better, but it's still a little weird. I'm like, you know, let me pull all 4 of them out. Here's what I found. Down here is a brand new spark plug. You can see the electrode. Now, these are iridium. It's an extremely hard, durable metal. Now, Toyota says these plugs are good for 120,000 miles, which I'm sure is a very conservative number. But this one's brand new, and you can see it has a nice tip on there. You don't have to gap these from the factory. They're already set. That's why they come with protective sleeves on them. And all 4 spark plugs were completely worn down to nothing. I have never, ever seen a spark plug in this bad of a shape in about 15,000 miles. They probably are maybe closer to 10,000 miles these things have on them, because I did them a little after 100,000. These things are worn down to absolutely nothing. So, like I said, these aren't from some online retailer. I physically drove to my local Toyota dealership in February. It is now September of 2020, and bought these things. Now, I don't blame the dealer for this. I spoke to them. They're going to give me a free set to cover these, but these are legitimate Denso iridium spark plugs from the dealer. Now, I don't know if Toyota had a bad batch. I'm really hoping that's the problem, but I wonder if there's a possibility that somehow counterfeit ones are getting into the Toyota supply line. Again, a little bit of a stretch, but I just want everyone to be aware. If you experience what I experienced, where you have a cylinder misfire and you think it's something simple like a coil pack that, you know, they go periodically, even if you put a brand new set of legitimate Toyota from the dealer spark plugs in the car yourself, or you had them do it, just check the spark plugs, because all 4 of mine are completely worn out to nothing. So bad that the cylinder was misfiring because they're so worn out. I mean, this is just unbelievable that a spark plug wore down this quickly. I spoke to some of my mechanic friends, and they have never seen anything like this. So if you run into that issue, like I had with a cylinder misfire, pull all the spark plugs. And normally I would have done this if the spark plugs weren't brand new, like they pretty much were, but I'm just going to tell everybody, just go ahead and pull all your spark plugs and take a look if you get a misfire, because I don't know if Toyota had a bad batch this year or what the problem was. But like I said, just you're better off going to a physical retailer to buy spark plugs, or a legitimate online retailer. Right now I would avoid eBay and Amazon, because they are trying to combat this, but I went the right route and I still had a problem. So just take that for what it's worth. But I hope you enjoy the video, and if you encounter a misfire in your Toyota like I did, pull all the spark plugs and just take a look to make sure you didn't have a premature spark plug failure. So thanks for watching.